Hello and welcome to Indie Encounter. My name is Sandra Laraine Coleman. The mission of our show is to give independent performers and artists access to as wide an audience as possible and to give you, our viewers, a window into their art, their artistic process, and why they have chosen their particular avenue to connect with the world. All art is about communication and connection. Let's meet today's indie artist, Tamara Blue. Welcome, Tamara. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Um, it's a pleasure to have you here. It's such a blessing. I love you. I love your work. But give our audience a little insight on like your writing process, why you chose poetry.
Okay. Well, I would consider myself more of a spoken word artist. I don't want to always get in the limitation of poetry because it does have ways that poetry is done, and I know that I go above and beyond it and outside of the box for it. Um, I do tend to write about my personal experiences, things that I've witnessed, my own family, the whole gambit.
Right.
Like there's nothing really off limits. I think that the the biggest quality of my writing is that I'm willing to be vulnerable and honest and just share my story because I believe that my story is also several other people's stories.
Right. Absolutely. And then what you mentioned poetry and spoken word. What I know there's like a lot of talk about the difference between the two. So I have my own definition, but what would you say the difference between poetry and spoken word is?
Um, wow, I don't know if I can just say what the difference is, but I'll definitely say that to be a poet and to claim yourself as a poet, you're claiming yourself to be a very literary person, in my opinion.
Right.
And a poet that is claiming to be a poet should know poetry history, poetry styles, poetry qualities, what makes this poem do this and what makes this poem do that. And I'm honest with myself that I haven't done that research. I like to write, and I like to speak, and I like to share my story. So if it comes off in a poetry way and I've learned some type of styles, because I've written haikus and I've learned different types of styles and I've written that way, but I really just write in more of a conversational kind of setting, and I think that's more of the spoken word. It's kind of a conversational, could be comedic, just kind of anything, a rant.
So it's more performance oriented versus like sitting down and reading.
Definitely.
And analyzing and
Yeah,
even
definitely.
though performance poetry could be analyzed because
It is.
and writing about your own personal experiences, what is it? I know you said honesty, but what mostly is it that you want your audience, your readers, your fan base, what is most important to you that they know?
What's most important for me, for them to know that they should be encouraged, that somebody is in their corner, even if it's just me and you don't know me, but there are people on the planet that want you to do good. I've run across a lot of mostly young women, because that's really like where I kind of, my fan base, I guess you would call it,
Right.
is young women. And I've met a lot of young women who don't feel encouraged. They don't feel that anyone wants them to do good. And my goal is that when you leave a show, and I've done 30 to 45 minutes worth of speaking, of poetry, of spoken word, of talking, that you feel encouraged and motivated to do what your heart is telling you. Not what your mind is telling you, not what you think you should do, but what your heart is telling you.
Wow.
I think that's the goal.
That's awesome. And that's beautiful because we want to always leave or impart, even though, we consider ourselves artists, we want to leave and impart our audience with something. And that was beautiful.
Thank
that
you.
Especially that age group that needs it so
They
much.
need it so much.
They really do. They really do. And I also want to ask you about, because I know you have a family, you're married, you have a son,
Yes.
and so tell us how you balance being an artist, being a employee, and being a wife and a mom.
Mother. Girl,
I'm tired just.
it's work. It's work because
Right.
I mean it's three, four different jobs.
Right.
Because at the same time, and then you know the biggest thing that I'm running into is that being a wife and a mother, and I'm generally not censored. I usually just write, and now that I'm a wife and a mother, I'm censoring myself. So it's the biggest thing that I'm finding right now is how to not censor myself, but still not put my marital and family business in the street.
Ah.
Because that's the biggest thing. Because when it was just me and it was only me that I was worried about,
Right.
you know, I didn't care if someone knew that I, you know, did escapades and whatever I did. It didn't matter.
Right.
Because this was my journey.
Right.
But now I don't want my son's business out in the
Right.
street. I don't want my husband's life in the street. So it's kind of, that's the toughest part, is like balancing what's public
Right.
and what's private.
Right.
But that's mostly it. And then finding the space, like when are you going to write?
Yeah.
When you got to make dinner, you got to wash something to wear, you got to wash the dishes after you did them. You know, you do want to read to your child and spend some time and interact. When do you write? Do you not sleep to write? So I'm really trying to find the balance.
Yeah,
Because the
so-
times that I've written since I've been married, it's been I'm just not going to go to sleep.
Wow.
Because that's everybody's asleep, the house is quiet.
Now's a good time.
Now's a good time. And it'll just hit me. It'll be like, okay, it's like nobody's home right now.
I
And so
got
I'm just
some
like,
me
ah.
time. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. So you're still trying to work through
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
process, because it took me a while to be able to, and basically that's when I did it. You know, my daughter was asleep, and you know, but then trying to get up and go to work the next day is absolutely crazy.
It's a mess.
It is, but that's the sacrifice we make as artists. Now, what other sacrifices have you had to make because of your art or your passion for your art?
I've had to sacrifice a lot of jobs, like feeding my family, because I wasn't going to miss an opportunity to travel somewhere and share my word.
Wow.
Because there was a time when, not when I was married, but there was a time when I was invited to go to South Africa to do poetry. And the job was saying I couldn't go because I didn't have enough hours accrued, and I was like, I just need another job done. Because my divine purpose here is to share this word.
Right.
Even if it's the same one poem, I think that every woman should hear it.
Right.
So, and I still feel that in my soul. So I'll have to leave your job and sacrifice that paycheck to go here and do this.
Right.
And I was committed to it, and I just did it. I mean, and I feel like my husband and I are still on that same path. If an opportunity came to share your word somewhere that generally you wouldn't be able to get to,
Right.
we'll work it out.
Right.
I don't deal in fear. That's
Right.
what it is. It's really like that's the biggest part, is that reminding myself that I don't come from a place of fear.
Right.
I don't deal with fear. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of your job going away, or we're gonna always eat, and I'm
Right.
gonna always be a writer.
And that's good, because so many people do come from fear. They do live in that space, and that's beautiful that you don't. And
I mean, it's a constant thing to remind myself. When I
Right.
catch myself, I'm like, wait, no,
right.
you don't live here. It's not where you belong.
Absolutely. And I want to ask you what that experience in Africa was like. What was that like for you? Was that, I mean, you know, I could only imagine.
Right.
I have always wanted to go there, but tell us a little bit about your experience in Africa.
Well, my experience we were in South Africa. It was a group of, it was a few years back, but it was a group of about 12 women. And we got together. It was 6 South African women and 6 girls from the States, all writers or performers of some sort. And we got together and we did a play at the Grahamstown National Theatre Festival in South Africa.
Wow.
I mean, and it went over very well. We wrote the play ourselves. One girl from South Africa and one of the girls from the States, you know, combined together, and they worked as the directors, and they actually like put it together how it was gonna go. I mean, and it was awesome. It was awesome. The style of writing is different, but the same, because it's the same body image-ish situation. It's the same. He doesn't love me, but he keeps coming here, and the same stories. The stories don't change.
Wow.
No matter what
Where you
continent
go,
you
yeah.
are on, women are still dealing with the same issues.
Wow.
So
That's
it was kind of enlightening. Like, I didn't go there and no giraffe walked past me and a bunch of no, there was none of that. It was a sister that came up and she was like, yeah, I don't know where my dude is, or he said this and that, and it's the same drama that you have anywhere else. So you can just imagine the drama of 12 women in a room or in a house for 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
Africa or not.
Right, right.
That's serious.
So that is very, very serious. And which now that you've told us about your experience and shared with us a little bit of your views and let us into your world a little bit, I want to know if you would like to share a poem with
Sure,
us.
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
Tamara Blue, everybody.
I want to be a poet. Even though sometimes when I think about it, really, I don't care about poetry. Because I'm only doing this as a way to speak to my community. Because I want to go to youth groups and tell them about the harm that drugs can do. I want to tell them about my 2 aunties and their addictive personalities. I want to talk about my bad habits, and I want to hear theirs so that maybe together we can heal theirs. And I want to inspire art, song, dance, rhyme, whatever. I want to inspire life, and since art is life, I want to live mine to the fullest. I want to stop a lot of the nonsense, but make sure to keep a few drops of it. I want to take classes so that I can teach classes. I want to be the one to tell that teenage pregnant girl that everything is going to be okay. But I want to mean it. I want to never have to whisper. I want to always be heard. I want to stand on top of mountains and shout, pay attention to your words, because I want to scream. And I want to cry sometimes because growing up, all I wanted was someone to talk to. Someone to tell me that I could, should, and would succeed if I stood firm on everything that I believed. I want to be everything that I needed when I was a teen. I want to be a real friend, a sister, a guidance counselor, a mentor. When I think about it, I just want to be a motivational speaker. Because I want to talk to folks that I don't even know. I want to show them my scars from going down the wrong tracks. I want to show them the road I used to get back. I want to talk about how it feels when you think you look fat. I want to work on getting my old body back. I want to talk about living in the millennium, but while black. I want to imagine what it would feel like to have my virginity back. In fact, I want to give these young girls a reason not to jump into the sack. I want to tell them my story and the trauma that it's caused me. I want to get those calls late at night when you just got out of a fight and you're really not sure if your decision was right. I want to be the one to help you see the light, to show you that your decisions are most times right because they're yours. I want to inspire decision. I want to clear confusion. I want to help you make that judgment call. Be the reason that you give it your all. The reason your heart is always into what I want everyone that can hear my voice to know that I always believe that you can do it. Because I want us never to forget our memories. Like, I'm never going to forget how living poor can be. I'm never going to forget food stamps or AFDC. I want to prove to myself that I inspired me and I come from love, not just poverty. Because I want to be a poet. And I want to inspire art, song, dance, rhyme, whatever. I want to inspire life. I want to stop a lot of the nonsense, but make sure to keep a few drops of it. Because I'd rather have some sense than no sense at all.
Ooh, that was beautiful. I love that poem anyway.
Thank you.
But you know what? Some of the things you were saying in the poem, they're so timely. But I'm looking at you, and you look like this 16-year-old, but you're speaking with such wisdom. So, I mean, how do you, I know you said your own experience, but.
Well, see, that poem, I wrote it a long time ago. I wasn't 16, but but I did write it a long time ago, and it was really a list of things that I wanted. It was sheerly just a list poem, a list of things that I wanted in my life, and it was just about manifesting those things.
Right.
And you know, as time went on, and me performing this poem and making sure that any place I went, if I had to do one poem, that's the poem I did, because it was important to me to put that in the universe of what I wanted.
Right.
And it started to come. I started teaching at youth groups and group homes. I started teaching these stories. I started talking to people where I have two aunts that have been on crack for most of my life.
Wow.
And I started talking to kids whose parents have been on crack most of their life. And they had somebody that could understand the story.
Right.
And so even though I was just an ear, it's still what I wanted.
Right.
And we were able to discuss like what it's like growing up in that situation and who do you turn to and how does it affect your day-to-day life? Like we could just talk and they felt comfortable. So the poem kind of just manifested itself. It was like The Secret.
Wow. And that's beautiful because I could see where so many people would be able to relate to so many of the things that you said, especially young people.
Yeah.
And even though I can't say that I had any family members on crack, I've known a lot of people that, and it's a devastating situation to be in because I've seen firsthand the destruction it can do.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
But I wanted to ask you about other places that you've been because of poetry, because this is, I mean, it's not just a hobby.
Right.
It's who you are. So
well, because of poetry, I left California for the first time.
Wow.
So that was like amazing. Well, I'm lying. I went to Arizona once, but Arizona is so close.
Yeah.
We didn't take an airplane, so
Right.
it never really felt like I went anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
In 2004 or 3, I can't remember, I went to St. Louis to do poetry.
Wow.
With the slam team. Like, and see, this is the thing, a lot of poetry, literary poets on page, they don't really care for slam.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy slam for the sheer fact that it gets inner city kids whose parents cannot afford to send them on no plane to anywhere.
Right.
To share their story, and because of sharing their story, we're going to send you to St. Louis, Chicago, Salem, Wisconsin, Salem, Washington. I've been to Seattle, I've been to Chicago, I've been to New York, I've been to all over the West Coast.
Wow.
Just doing poetry.
Right.
Just my same poetry, not your poetry, not somebody else's.
Right.
I wrote it.
Right.
And somebody bought a ticket for me to go
to go
somewhere else and share it. So it's awesome. It's awesome that you can share your actual words and somebody will say, hey, come over here and do it too.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, there's still places I want to go. Like I want to go to Philly. I've never been to Philly.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems feasible. There was a time in my life where traveling didn't seem feasible.
Right.
Because my mom's not a big traveler. I don't remember the last time my mom was on an airplane.
Hmm.
In all of my years, I don't think we've never ridden a plane together.
Wow.
And in some people's lives, they travel.
Right.
In my life, that wasn't the norm. We
Right.
didn't travel. We stayed in LA,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just what you did.
Right.
So even using that as an example to tell my nieces, my little cousins and nieces, hey, you can go other places.
Yeah.
So it was awesome.
Right. And that's wonderful that poetry has afforded you that opportunity to be able to go places.
Yeah.
Now, what advice would you give like young people who want to get started or who maybe not know what to do or how to go about it? What advice would you give a young person who would maybe like to start slam or just writing period?
Just writing period or just if you're in this area, I would suggest that you go to the local venues. The two biggest venues that are going, Mike and Dim Lights is in Pomona, and it's called a Mike and Dim Lights. It's every Thursday, and it's in Pomona. You can probably look it up on Facebook. And the same with the Poetry Lounge, and it's DA Poetry Lounge, Poetry Lounge.
Yeah.
But both of those venues have been going on for
Forever.
10 years or more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of youth at both venues, so you'll be able to relate to the people there.
Right.
And I would just tell you tell that person to be encouraged to write and share their story. You can't go into poetry looking to be famous and to travel. That's not
Right.
how the game works. That's
Right.
that's not how it's supposed to be.
Right.
Now, if those blessings come to you and you're able to flip it into a business later, then yeah. But when you first come for the word. Come to get the word and to give the word.
Right.
And if you're giving out honesty and pure and love and just sincereness, like being sincere about who you are and what you're about,
Right.
blessings will come to you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I know there's a venue that not venue, but an event that you host every year. It's for Mike and Dim Lights, the
Yeah,
ladies.
The ladies' night.
Yes.
Yeah.
Tell us about the lady. I love it.
Ladies' night at a Mike and Dim Lights. We've been doing that since they started, so it's been 10 years. I did take a little hiatus when I was pregnant. I was just too tired, but we did it like a little later, but we did it. And Ladies' Night is all women poets the whole night, a female DJ, a female host, generally a female feature, dancing, singing, doing poetry, whatever. We don't limit you. And then also an artist. We usually have like a female painter or something.
Right.
And it's all women poetry the whole night. The men cater to the women with either flowers or roses or walk you to your seat or something. I had a massage guy come one time with a shirt off and just do massages. I mean, and it was cute.
Nice.
It's not anything, I mean, and it's cool because, you know, the first year we did it, the women came and they did a lot of like man-hating poems, but that's not my energy.
Right.
So eventually, the more I hosted, the more it became a beautiful night of not bashing anyone, but just celebrating ourselves.
Right.
So I think it's a great event.
I think it is too. And talk about the little gifts that you make for everybody
every year. Every year I do. I mean, and they've changed, but every year I make something. I don't buy it, I make it. And it's a handmade gift. It'll be, one year I did a mirror, and I painted each mirror, and each mirror had a specific, like an inspirational word on it. And it was funny because it was really important to me, the words that I chose.
Right.
And then who I gave them to. Wow. It was almost like a divine thing. Like, I didn't just give you any one. I did, because I didn't know which word was on it, but I almost waited to be called to the certain gift to give to the certain person. And each woman that I gave like the boxes to, and there's always some kind of inspiration to it. They're like, oh, that's exactly what I needed. I needed to learn how to sit down. I had one where I said, just sit down. Because there was a woman that I knew needed to just stop rushing and sit down. And so it fit for her.
That's beautiful. And I've gotten several of those gifts myself, and I still have them.
Yay!
And now, since we're talking about the ladies' night, we would like to have you do another poem, please.
Okay, I'll do this poem. It's like for the women, I guess I'll say.
Yes.
Somewhere between the third submission, overcritical conversations with analytical pessimists, and no, he is not leaving his girl. You are just the mistress. Loneliness took the spot of faith, and I hid her deep in the unknowns, not alone, but I let her take confidence with her, and damn, I forgot how good I was at this game. You know, the hiding part. Because cuddled up tight like sixth grade lovers, or abused children in fear of angry drunken mothers with belts, kitchen spoons, and brooms, they are hiding together, and I am searching alone every dark place I was once afraid to go. Lifting every rock, moving every stone, looking behind doors and walls, calling every beautiful name I forgot that I once answered to. Brilliant, talented, capable, wise, willing, inspiring, vibrant, gift-giving, blessing, bless now answer. Answer to your name when I call you. And somewhere after that ninth submission, more overcritical conversations with that same analytical pessimist, and still being a mistress, but to a new man with a new woman that he still won't leave. I remembered how great it was to have you. Confidence, now I'm searching for you. Faith, come out of the darkness. I remember my name, my worth, my old hiding place for you. Too old to play this game. They say confidence should be easy for you at this age, but it's not. I'm hopeless sometimes, like anyone who's over 30 and losing focus on goals. Any receptionist who's sick of answering phones and typing memos, I need help having confidence. Finding faith, praying the perfect prayer so that God can hear me, surrounding myself with the faithful and the confident, giving the illusion that I am both, but I am not. I'm a work in progress, just like this poem. Untitled sometimes, just like this poem, a bunch of words scribbled onto a page, given to the world with no shield, no protection, raw. expecting judgment. But see yourself when you look at me. All the flaws you want to hide ain't no happy ending just yet. We got future plans to build confidence. Constant reading to build faith. It's time to save those poor babies disguised as strong individuals. Expose their emotional issues, their self-doubt. Ho, ye of little faith, it is time we feed you the word until you remember your name's brilliant, talented, capable, wise, willing, inspiring, vibrant, gift, giving, blessing, bless now answer. Answer to your name when I call you. Thank you.
Woo! That was wonderful and absolutely for the women. Now
Thank
tell
you.
us where we can reach you or get some like product
If you
that
just want to
you
just
have.
get in touch with me, it's my first and last name, which is Tamara Blue, TAMARABLUE @gmail.com.
Okay.
And if you just hit me up there,
We can find
we
out
can
about
find out
product.
everything. I'm
Okay.
very easy to talk to.
Okay.
So if you
okay.
want to book me for something, I'll respond.
Absolutely. And we want to thank Tamara Blue for coming to today's Indie Encounter. This has been Indie Encounter, a journey into the world of the independent creators of art and artistic communication. I want to thank today's guest, Tamara Blue, for sharing her vision with us. If you want to find out more about today's guest, check her out on myspace.com, True Blue. Also check out our website here at PasadenaCommunityNetwork.com and select the Arroyo channel. Thanks to our director, Lilia Fernandez Gaspar, and to our crew for making the show possible. Thanks to all of you. We hope to see you here again when we embark on another Indie Encounter.